All right, everyone. Hopefully the quiz went well. Let's talk now about one and two-step equations. Let's briefly go over one-step equations. You should know these very, very well. You've done a lot of them, I assume, the last year or so. But let's just go through these four examples here, 1 through 4, to make sure you know what you're doing. Remember, when solving equations, we always want to do the opposite of what the operation is to get the variable by itself. If we're adding something to the variable, then we have to subtract. If we are subtracting something from the variable, then we have to add, and so on. So let's do that. We have m plus 12. We are adding 12 to the variable. The opposite of addition, addition is canceled out by subtraction. So we subtract 12 from both sides. Remember, whatever we do to one side, we also have to do to the other side. Subtracting 12 then cancels out the 12s, and I have m equals 10 minus 12 is negative 2. Number 2, as we just said, 2 is a subtraction, g minus 9. We cancel out subtraction with addition, so I want to add 9 to both sides. Again, we do that, so now that 9 is gone. We've added opposites. So I have g all by itself. Remember, it's fine to write things what looks like backwards. It's okay to have the variable on the right-hand side. So g equals negative 2 plus 9 is 7. In number 3, what do we have? Negative 7y means negative 7 times y. How do we reverse multiplication? We do it by dividing. So I'm going to divide both sides by that negative 7. Dividing negative 7 by negative 7 cancels out. It makes a 1. So I have 1y equals negative 91 divided by negative 7, I believe, is positive 13. Negative divided by negative is a positive. And number 4 is a division, a divided by 9. Whenever we have division, we do the opposite to undo that division. The opposite of division is multiplication. So I multiply both sides by 9. 9 here, 9 here. The 9's cancel out, and I have 1a equals negative 4 times 9 is negative 36. So just a quick review on one-step equations. Um, well, what about if you have a fraction in a one-step equation? Do you remember how we get rid of fractions, like in 5, 6, 7, and 8? Well, this fraction, well, let's put it this way. Whenever you see a fraction times a variable, 2/3 x means 2/3 times x. Down here, negative 6/5 k equals is the same thing as negative 6/5 times k. So whenever you see that situation, you multiply by the reciprocal. You simply flip over, keeping the sign. So this is positive 2/3. I'm going to multiply by positive 3/2. What you do to one side, you must also do to the other. What does this do for us? Well, the 3's cancel crossways, the 2's cancel crossways, and I'm left with 1x. On the other side, we simply have to multiply the integer times this fraction. So remember how we do that? Pretend there's a 1 under that 10. And to multiply fractions now, we simply multiply numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So numerator times numerator, 10 times 3 is 30. Denominator times denominator, 1 times 2 is 2. So I have 30 over 2, which we know is 15. All right, and let's look at number 7. Let's do number 7 as well. Again, we see a fraction here. It's got a negative, so we know all we have to do is flip it over and multiply it by both sides. So we're going to keep the sign. We still got a negative out front, but now I have 5 over 6. So negative 5 over 6 times both sides. The 5's cancel out, the negatives cancel out, the 6 cancels out. I'm left with 1k equals, I got an integer times a fraction. We put that integer over 1. Numerator times numerator. 12 times negative 5 is negative 60. Denominator times denominator, 1 times 6 is 6. Negative 60 over 6, I believe, is negative 10. It's that simple. All right, now let's pop down to two-step equations that come next. You should have also had plenty of experience with two-step equations. So 9, 10, 11, and 12 are your basic two-step equations. Now, it says up here, oops, let me back up a little bit here. To solve two-step equations, first, we undo addition subtraction. Then we undo multiplication and division. This is the opposite of our order of operations. Normally we would do multiplication and division first, then addition and subtraction. But when we're solving equations, we're actually working the order of operations backwards. So addition and subtraction always come first. So first we got to take care of, in number 9, this addition. So I reverse addition with subtraction. Going to subtract 8 from both sides. Those 8's cancel out over here, and I'm left with 6x equals 42. Now I've got a multiplication to undo. I undo multiplication with division, divide both sides by 6, and I have x equals positive 7. All right, let's look at number 11. Do number 11 the same way. I've got this addition. I want to take care of this addition. I got to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. Subtracting 9 from both sides. These 9's cancel out, and on the right-hand side, I'm left with negative 4k. On the left-hand side, 13 minus 9 is 4. Final step here, I'm going to divide by negative 4. What I do to one side, I have to do to another. So those negative 4's cancel out, and I have k equals positive 4 divided by negative. Positive divided by negative is a negative, negative 1. So again, none of this should be new to you. I hope I'm just reminding you of how to do some of these problems. All right, flip it over onto the back side. We have some divisions here, so maybe we should look at that. Let's look at number 11. No, let's look at number 12. No, let's go back to 11. What am I don't even know what numbers I'm talking about. Let's start that over again. Let's go to number 14. There, that makes sense. Number 14, first thing I have here is addition. I want to get rid of addition. I get rid of addition by subtracting. Subtract 8 here, subtract 8 here. Oh, now I know why I was calling this number 11, because it had an 11 right there. I don't know. Just had a senior moment. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. These 8's go away, and I'm left with c over negative 5 equals 8 minus 11 is 3. Now you remember how we dealt with this division? The opposite of division is multiplication. So I'm going to multiply both sides by that negative 5. Negative 5 here, negative 5 here. Cross those out, and I have 1c on the right-hand side equals negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. And the others back here all follow the same way. Let's scroll down a bit. Let's go down to the watch out portion. So it says these examples below are different in that the multiplication division is done first, followed by the addition and subtraction. So this is a case where we have to do the multiplication or division first. Why is that? Because we're set up as fractions. We have, in number 19 here, we have a variable and a constant all divided by a single number. So because they're all divided by 8, and over here, all divided by negative 2, down here, all divided by negative 6, because you have that set up, you must first get rid of that denominator. And hopefully you remember, to get rid of that 8, we are dividing by 8 here. So to get rid of a dividing by 8, we multiply by 8. 8 on the left, 8 on the right. Those 8's cancel out, and what I'm left with on the left-hand side, untouched, is this numerator, x plus 11. On the right-hand side, negative 3 times 8 is negative 24. Now, my final step is to get rid of this positive 11. I get rid of an addition of 11 by subtracting 11. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. Those 11s cancel out, and I've got x equals negative 35. And number 20, 21, 22 follow the same way. So hopefully this has been a good refresher for you on how to solve 1 and 2 step equations. Now what you need to do is stop the video, put away the Chromebook, take out the homework, start working on the homework. This is due when you get into class tomorrow. All right, thank you very much.